All right, guys, so I teased this one a little bit last week, and we're going to go through this one. I really like this book. It has a lot of potential. It's not going to have a huge bump. There are some issues that I can't do much about, but overall, there's quite a bit I can. So what we're going to do is kind of go through it and look at some of the stuff. So you can see right there, there's a little tear. There's something right there. I'm not sure what that is. You can see it. It's like, I don't know, it's something that's protruding on the front of there. We'll see what we can do with that. It could be, God, just tons of things. Not much I can do with that. There's some pencil mark in there. You can't really see it easily, but there's definitely some pencil mark and some scratching in there. Some dirt on the white. The staples do have some rust, but the staples are attached nicely, so I'm not too concerned about anything with that. And there's a tear there in the corner. So we flipped through this book. Again, I talked about last time, it's miscut. You can see that white. That white's not supposed to be there, but it's cut at an angle. So that, nothing I can do about that, nothing I want to do about that. You can see when we open it, you know, it is torn a little bit at the staples, but they're still attached. We're just gonna flip through, make sure there's nothing missing. There's no cutouts or anything, and there shouldn't be. We'll just flip through it. Feel free to read it as we go. Looking for anything crazy going on. Sometimes you'll get some gunk in here, or some coloring, or crayon marks, or pencil marks, and we're just checking to make sure there's nothing going on inside there. Not seeing anything, which is always good. Pages are probably going to be cream to off-white. You can see they're pretty brown around the edges. Nothing can be done about that, unfortunately. But I'm okay with that. Like I said, I'm always okay with cream pages. I just don't like brittle pages. Brittle pages are bad because the book's it's brittle. It's very, very bad shape. This has a lot of staple rust. When we get to the centerfold, we might have passed the centerfold. I'll show you how bad it is. Yeah, there you go. You can see all that black. That's all mold from wet and staple rust. So again, when we're pressing this, we're gonna have to be careful with that, because rusted staples can break very easily. So we'll have to do a very light press. Again, unfortunately, short of replacing them, which is restoration, unless you know how to do it properly and can get conservation, there's nothing you can do. These staples, because they're so bad, I would be even afraid to try and replace them. The paper's going to be real easily torn right there at the edges, where all that black is. I do plan to hop this book, and hopefully a hop will kill that and neutralize that a little bit. You can see that black though on every page goes all the way through the book till you get almost to the outside edges. So it's unfortunate, but again, this book's gotten wet at some point. And you know, it's not uncommon. The book's, you know, 80 years old, 80 plus years old. It's horribly miswrapped. You can see all the how unaligned the pages are. So, and again, that cover's just barely hanging on, so we got to be real careful with that. So we'll go ahead and get started. You know, as always, we'll start with a cotton round. I'm going to put backing board behind it just to give it something to press against, a little bit of extra protection. And like I said on the last Green Lantern book we did, we got to be real careful at this stage. Too much pressure anywhere could cause a tear or a rip. I'm guessing we're going to get a lot of dirt off on this black area, just because I can see dirt on it. But sometimes you don't, even when it looks like there's a bunch. So let's take a peek. Yeah, it's not too bad. I have no idea what that is. Get a tool and pick at it a little bit and see if I can get any lift at all, or any kind of breakaway. Again, I want to be careful, because obviously I don't want to tear the book. It's almost like it's got an air bubble in it. It's covered with dirt. The concern is if I press this book like this, that's going to press down in it even more. So let's see if I see anything on the inside. So yeah, nothing on the inside. see if I can get a different tool and kind of work on it with that. So I'm going to use this and just kind of scrape lightly. Again, oh, there. Looks like we're maybe starting to get it. Yep. All right. Now that came off. Don't know what that is or what it was. It almost looks like one of those things that go on the back of a drawer that kind of create a little bumper. So again, that's much easier than I expected. So that's good that that's off, because like I said, had I left that on there when I pressed it, it would have just pressed into the book. I'm gonna pull down here. The grease marker or grease crayon that they use on this, not too concerning there. Not gonna get a big ding for that. Again, especially with all the other flaws. And that's always the thing to kind of keep in mind when you're cleaning a book like this. What other flaws does it have? How much do you want to spend trying to work on something that is risky or could cause damage when it's not going to give you an overall bump? It's not going to help the book survive anymore. It's just more you're trying to get little things out. It's not always worth it. There's lots of little scratches in this black. I don't think you guys can see those, and I don't know if it's like a pencil that someone took over, or if someone had something on top of this and was scribbling on something and wrote. It's really hard to tell. So yeah, overall it's not as dirty as I expected. You know, I'm getting a little bit off, but not a lot. Like I said, we are going to hop this book. Well, I'll give it a quick press and then I'll do the hop. So I'm not going to show the quick press because that's a quick heat up, cool down, let it sit for like an hour, and then I go through the we'll go through the hop and I'll show you the steps of that. So I think we're pretty good there. Not a lot I can clean on here. You know, again, we can only really erase white areas. I'm not going to mess with that edge at all. It's just not worth it. It's pretty tattered all the way up and down. So basically we have this hat, the white here, and possibly the DC logo. I'm not going to work on anything else with the eraser, but we might get a little bit off here. And again, you're not going to have a, you know, night and day change, but we want to maximize this book. We want to make it as good as it can possibly be. You know, make it look as nice as it can be, make it last as long as it can. And I think hop is going to do quite a bit on a book like this. Again, I've talked about it before. Hop is very, very good on Golden Age books that are in good enough shape to be hopped. If you remember the last book, the last Green Lantern, we did Green Lantern 30. You know, I think I might have been able to get a hop on it and it might have gotten a little improvement, but the chance of detaching the cover or doing more damage was so much higher than what I would have actually gotten out of it. It just wasn't worth it. This one is in good enough shape where, you know, again, I don't think there's going to be any issue trying to give this a hop. I don't think, I'm going to have to be careful, you know, for sure. It's not like I can just, you know, be aggressive and peel the page off and take no caution. I have to be very cautious with it because of the staple damage and how brittle the staples are going to be because they're so rusted. So we'll give it one more once over. I don't think I'm going to mess with the DC logo too much. I'll probably do a little bit inside the circle. Not going to mess around where it says a Superman publication, just because it's tight and I don't really want to do too much with it. So that's kind of it for the front. Again, I'm going to go over this again with the dry erase. I'm going to go over it again with the cotton round. I'll probably do a little absorbing work on it, but I'm not going to keep doing the same thing over and over for you guys. It doesn't really give you any visual of what's going on. So the back is very dirty, and the back should do very well with a hop. You see there's some pink color transfer here, some red from another book probably. There's some dark dirt spots here. Looks like maybe transfer from a book here as well. Looks like maybe there's even some wording. I can see where it says, looks like Manny, animal maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but there's a word there that's got transferred in pink. Again, you probably can't see that. What we do need to be cautious of on the back here is you got tear there. There's a rip here, and again around the staples. So we got to use a lot of caution when we get around those staples. But there's a lot of dirt here. I'm sure you can see that. Again, with Golden Age, the paper's really porous, so we may not get a lot of that dirt off with the eraser, but hop should help get a lot of that out and lighten this up quite a bit. Gonna be real careful. I'm just lightly rubbing along the edge, seeing if we get any dirt up, and if we do, how much is this helping? Because again, I might do it multiple times, but if I don't get much the first time, I'm not going to get much the second, third, or fourth time either. So you kind of get a feel for how much. That's a good little bit of dirt for just doing that strip. So probably we'll do a couple passes of dry clean. I'm going to fold that down. I got a tiny bit of water over here. I'm going to dip my finger in just to get that moist and kind of flatten it out, just so it stays down. Again, it's not like I'm not soaking it. I'm just putting a little bit of water on it. And then you can actually do a little bit of wet cleaning, but you see there with the wet, you're going to get a lot of that color off. I don't go over wet cleaning techniques. I do wet clean a little bit with just water. It's very specific on what I would or wouldn't wet clean. And because it's such a risky technique, I don't want to give you guys any information on it and then you go and tear up a book. So if you are interested in wet cleaning, lots of tutorials out there. I would say practice if you're going to do it on cheaper books like we always talk about. And when I say cheap, I don't mean just cheap in value. I mean books that don't have value to you. You know, you don't want, if you got a $10 book that's one that your dad gave you when you were 6 years old, that has a lot of value. Even though it's not financially valuable, it's got a lot of personal value. So don't do that on a book like that. You know, make sure you're practicing any technique you're going to do on lower books before you get into something like this. So you see a lot of that red coming off. There's a lot of, I can feel it, a lot of the transfer that's right here from another book. Can't do much about it with this technique, but hopefully when we hop it, we'll get a little bit of that out. I think we're basically pretty good there. I'm not getting much up, so I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time and energy. I'm going to go back over it more times, but like I said, it's kind of boring for you guys to watch that. And again, brittle book, not brittle, but you know, a book that's got some damage. I don't want to erase hard at all. I'm very lightly rubbing on this. I don't want to tear it or cause any damage to it beyond what it's already got. I can tell though there is a good bit of dirt coming up, which isn't always the case on Golden Age books, so it's kind of nice to see I'm getting a little bit of that dirt up. I'm leaving all the crumbs on there for now because I'm not going back over them, but once I get down to the corner here, I'll wipe all those crumbs off. So I don't know how well it's showing up in the camera, but that's actually done a lot already. It's cleaned up quite a bit, and you see how it's really dark on there's a tear right there. There's dirt that just gets embedded inside the ends of those tears. Don't go out of your way to try and get that out. You know, do a little bit, maybe like just to lighten it up a little. But if you start scrubbing on that, you're gonna tear it without question. So just give it a little bit light if you think you can get a little bit off. But again, don't be too aggressive. You're not gonna get anything out of it. You're just gonna making the book worse. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying these. Like I said, I wish I could go live. My internet's just been so bad lately. In that room, it's not that I have like bad internet. It's just I'm having an issue in that room specifically. So I've reached out to my internet provider to see what I can do about getting better coverage in there. I have an extender. I've tried all kinds of stuff and just nothing seems to be really helping. So we're going to turn this 90 degrees and I'm going to work on kind of this area. I am going to go through the fresh everyday batteries too with the little eraser, I think I'll be able to get a little bit of that out because it's got a lot of dirt in it. I don't know how well this it transfers. I'm just using like a GoPro camera, and I don't know how well you can see the dirt coming up or not. I know the before and afters you can kind of get a good idea, but hopefully it's showing the dirt coming up here. But I also know that like the lighting's not fantastic. I don't know how well it like you can zoom in on kind of the spaces I'm working on. I think if you're watching this on a phone, it's probably almost nothing. You probably can't see much at all. But again, that you see all that all those crumbs I rub off, that's from the eraser, but it's black, and that's in a white eraser. So that means I'm getting some dirt. You know, it wouldn't come off in chunks of black if it was clean. So you see all those crumbs is always it's a good sign that you're getting some dirt up. And I've said it, like, you know, before, even if it doesn't look better, it's still better for the book to get all that crap off of it. You don't know what kind of chemicals and materials have been on this book, so even just the cotton round rub gives your book a little bit more longevity, because you've rubbed off any chemicals that are just eating away at that paper. You know, you wouldn't, if they've penetrated the paper, they're not gone, but they are lighter. You know, the oils that are on the covers from hands, and especially, you know, in the 40s, you know, these kids, they weren't like today, where you buy a book, you read it, you put it in a bag and a board. They read it, they traded it to their buddy traded it to another buddy, they put it in their back pocket, you know, took it to school with them. I mean, it, you know, played out in the yard, it had it in their back pocket, grabbed it with dirty hands. You know, it's just a different time, different era in the 40s. So not quite like how our generation, or in the, you know, the newer generations are really handling comic books. There's no real conservation as far as like bag and boarding books in the 40s. So this thing probably was 50 years old before it ever saw bag and board. And, you know, who knows what it would have been exposed to in that time. I mean, just the amount of crud and gunk, and, you know, the kid that owned this could have moved 5 times and had been in the back of a station wagon for, you know, a year, just sitting there cooking and cooling and cooking and cooling and cooking and cooling. High humidity, then low humidity. It's just no telling what kind of exposure some of these old books have had. So I'm actually really happy with how much of the dirt I'm getting off. It's a lot more than I expected, which again, sometimes you don't get much of anything off of Golden Age books from an eraser standpoint. But this one's actually doing really good. I'm really happy. I knew the back was going to be a kind of a bear, just because it's pretty dirty. And I'm hoping some of this red, and I'm sure you can see the red there, I'm hoping some of that red comes up when we do a hop. I mean, we're going to get a little bit for sure, I know that. I just hope we get a lot of it. Again, it's very important too, keep your erasers clean, especially on Golden Age books. If your eraser gets dirty and you keep erasing, you're just rubbing dirt back into that book. So it's very important. You know, you can use an absorbing, you can use your cotton round, and just kind of get those chunks of dirt off of there before you keep going. We're gonna go around this guy here and get in a bath. It looks like, I didn't even look. I know it's a battery thing, but I'm not really sure how him sitting in a tub getting water thrown on him has anything to do with the battery. But I didn't read it. I like to buy war bonds. You know, that's always cool for the books in the 40s, trying to support the war effort. You know, and that's crazy when you think about this book. This book was printed like in World War II. Hell, this book could have been, you know, in Germany, because a lot of soldiers, you know, got comic books, took them with them. I mean, like I said, there's just no telling the history of this book, where it's been, what it's seen, who's owned it. Just that's always an interesting part of it too, I think, is what is the history of it. So we'll getting kind of close here on the on the dry cleaning. Looks like I'm going to get a ton of this dirt up, which is awesome. Again, I'm being real careful. There's a staple right there. We don't want to put much pressure here and tear up that paper. I want to get close to that purple but not overlap it, because that would be bad for the purple. Let's see, that dirt's coming up. You can see too, there's a little like crease here with some dirt lines on it. Like, go over that lightly, but don't scrub it. It's just it's gonna be, it's already like worn out because it's been creased back and forth multiple times. So the more you rub on it, you're not taking dirt off at that point, you're taking paper off, because you've broken, like that bend has like broken the seal of the paper. So rubbing too much back and forth on that, like I said, you're not going to get much dirt. It's going to be mostly just paper fiber. So we're getting around the bottom staple here. We're going to be real careful again. Not going to put too much effort at all around that staple, because I'd rather it stay a little dirty there than have the staple break loose. Alright, so there I saw some paper come up right away when I hit there, so it's got some like rub damage, so don't want to mess with that. So we'll get all that off, and then we're gonna work on the fresh Ever Ready batteries lines. Again, I'm very confident there was something on top here. I don't know if you can see there's like a dark line here where like a book had sat there, because I can see the letters that have transferred. I can't make out what it says, but it could have been a TV guide or a Reader's Digest or anything. It doesn't necessarily mean it was a comic book. I did mention in my last video I have an affiliate link now for BCW supplies. So if you use their supplies, I'd appreciate it if you use that link. It helps me out a little bit, helps the channel a little bit. I will be very transparent. I do not use BCW bags and boards on books like this. I use E-Gerber. So the My Lights and halfbacks and fullbacks. Just because it's archival, I'm not too concerned when like 1970s and newer books. I do put in BCW bags and boards, but 1969 and older, I use My Lights or any high dollar keys, which, you know, there's not a whole lot of books that I would consider high dollar keys that I would own above that are after 1970. Maybe like a high grade Spider-Man 129, something like that. Maybe a nice copy of X-Men 94, but again, most times I'm going to have books like that graded. So like, it's more like the run filler books, you know, just the random Avengers 318, stuff like that. BCW is great for that, and I'm not just saying that because the affiliate link and stuff. I like them because I can buy bulk boards. So I'll buy 1,000 boards and 1,000 bags at a time. They usually ship, like, I usually get them like within 2 days, which is really nice. And I buy bulk boards, so I get them cheaper, but they're also not individually packaged. It's just one big box with 1,000 boards in it. And I like that. I'm not a retailer. I don't need individual packs of boards. It's just more garbage and trash. I store them in the box they come in. So for me that works, and again, maybe for you it doesn't. But they also have like mailers, and they have bags for records. They got all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, check them out. Their boxes, their short boxes, are by far my favorite. I'm probably the only place I buy short boxes is from them. But again, if you buy from them in bulk, it's just cheaper. You know, if you got a lot of comics, you need quite a few bags. You can go to the store and buy 2 packs of boards and 2 packs of bags and be at, you know, $40 or something, where I can get, I think 1,000 boards cost me like $110. So maybe even less than that. I have to look. I haven't, it's been a couple months since I bought some. But yeah, I think their service is good. I think they got all kinds of different stuff. So And again, I sound like an ad. I'm not trying to sell their stuff or get you guys to buy anything. Use what you like. I just think they're good value. All right, so I think we're good kind of here on the back. I'm not gonna go too much more. I did go through the letters. I got a little bit. I'm hoping Hop will really help with that. So I'm going to go give this a quick press. Take about an hour, and then we'll come back and we'll go through getting the hop set up for it. So be a little bit of time for me. It should be instantaneous for you. See you in a sec. All right, so I got my my sheet of 20-pound paper here. This is water, not peroxide, because I don't want to peroxide that book. Not because I think it'll cause damage. It's more the staples. You know, peroxide has a little bit of acid in it, and I don't want to expose those staples to that. I may on a second or third hop, but not on the initial one. So we're gonna mist that really well. Flip it over. You can see I got white on the top and bottom, so we'll hit the top and bottom again. And we're just gonna make sure it's nice and covered everywhere. Then I'm gonna let it sit on this paper for a few minutes. You can also do a little drag like that, and it'll pull a little bit of the thicker, like chunks of bubbled up water off there. So we're gonna sit this aside, and then we'll go through the stacking layers. I've already like pre-stacked a little bit. So on the bottom we have a sheet of magazine size backing board, and then 65-pound paper. And then in the middle at the staples on the spine I have another magazine backer board, and then right underneath the cover I'm just going to put a sheet of regular 20-pound paper. And if you've seen the other videos, that's for any like transfer through the book. We don't want it to get into that first page. I'm going to pause for just a minute, wait till 2 or 3 minutes so this paper absorbs that water, and then we'll come back. Alright guys, so our paper has basically absorbed enough. We're good. I'm going to kind of show you. It's not dripping wet. It's not like sopping wet. You can kind of see there. It's damp, but it's not sopping wet. And we're just going to lightly lay this on the book, hoping that we line it up good the first time so we don't have to peel it back off. And you're going to see that cover pop right through this as soon as it goes down. And that's all that moisture starting to absorb all the water, getting into that cover. We're going to just make sure we get any bubbles out. And these aren't bubbles, that's just where the water hasn't absorbed enough yet. But we do make sure that we had a tear up here. We want to make sure that's laying flat, and it was when we put the sheet on there. So we're good there. We're going to take another 20-pound paper, put on top there, just tap it down, and on top of that we're going to do the 65-pound, and then on top of that magazine backer board with the shiny side down as my dog barks. Guys, nuts. So I'm gonna do the same thing as we did on the previous hop books that you've seen. I'm gonna put this in the press, close the press, let this dwell for about 4 minutes. I'm gonna turn the heat up to 140 and then turn it on after that 4 minutes. Let it get up to 140. On Golden Age books, usually I let it get to 140 and then I turn it off. I don't usually let it stay in there and cook any longer. So on this one, I might give it a couple minutes once it gets up to temperature. But with Golden Age, I don't like to let them sit on that heat too long with the moisture. And then we'll sit for an hour, and then we'll take it out, and you guys will see kind of when we come back what it looks like. So again, should be just a second for you and about an hour and a half for me. See you soon. Alright guys, so we are out of the press. This was the cover hop. We're gonna take off the backing board and then the 65-pound. Now we're going to take off, this is the second page of just standard printer paper, so we're going to slowly peel that off. You can see we did get a little bit of red transfer, which is again common, especially on Golden Age books. And we're going to slowly peel this off just so we don't get any tear or rip. Especially here, it's got a little tack to it. We just got to be careful, we don't want to rip it anymore. So there we go. You see, you got some red come out of there. There's a lot of dirt spots. I don't know if you can see all these little spots are dirt. And again, even though we took some red out, there's no color loss. It's just that red is so thick on Golden Age. And it'll do good from another press, like a normal press. But it does look a lot better from a surface standpoint. I'm going to go through the same process on the back. I'm not going to go through all the spraying and all that with you guys. We'll come back and we'll be taking all the stuff off the back next. So we'll check the inside just to see if we got anything transferred on this real quick too. So yeah, no real dirt transferred there. So that's sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's hit or miss. So we'll flip this over, just kind of look at the back before we do it, and then like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole process of doing the paper and all that. When you guys come back, we will be removing the hop page from this side. So be right back. Okay guys, so I had some audio issues, and for some reason none of the audio transferred, so I'm going to do a voiceover on this. So you can see we're peeling off the back pages. There's a 65-pound cardstock. Then we're going to get to the first of two 20-pound pages of, again, it's just standard printer paper. It's nothing special. So we're going to peel that one off. We're going to be nice and easy. We're going to hold the other one down so that it doesn't peel them both off, so that when we peel the next one off, we can really be careful with the book. So that came off a little bit of tack, you can see. And then we're going to go ahead and start at the spine on this and just lightly work the finger underneath there. It is a little tacky to the book. That's not uncommon. You can see all the red again is transferred. I'm just putting my hand in between there, kind of slowly peeling it away from the book, and we'll take it off. And you can see all the red that's transferred. Again, red on these books is super thick. That's very common. And overall, you know, I didn't get as much as I thought. We did get some blue there that transferred off there. There's a little bit of dirt along the outside of the book, the page, the open part of the page. But overall, not as much as I'd hoped. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give this another dry clean. You know, you can see all that dirt on there that's come off. There's some little spots and stuff. But this would actually probably benefit from another dry clean. You can see a lot of that dirt. So I'm going to go back through and dry clean the back again. I'm going to do another dry clean on the front. I'm not going to hop it anymore, but I am going to do at least another dry clean on each side, if not two, and then press it again and it'll be good. So hopefully, again, this was informational for you. Hopefully you felt like you maybe learned something here, or, you know, if nothing else, maybe it was just entertaining to watch. These books are great to work on. It's important that we save books like this. You know, there's less and less all the time. They get burned up in house fires or lost in moves, and you know, it's important when you have one of these, you're taking care of it. You're maximizing the life of this thing. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. You learned some stuff, it was entertaining. As always, collect what you love, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
John's got a mission to save the day. With comics in his hands, he leads the way. Cleaning and pressing, making them shine, preserving